Well, it's time to get our penultimate race before the lunch break underway here at Karting Genk, the home of champions based in the Limburg region. It's now time for Micromax action. 11 minutes is set on the timer plus one additional lap. We have 16 competitors and the starting order for the first of two races today for the second day of the first round of the season. Tommy van der Stroys and Max Sederski make it a Dutch front row. Ahead of the pair of Alan Fedezano in the 46 and Casper Schormans in the number 40. Thomas Stuyven and Olivier Jonkers in the numbers 9 and 16, both with GKS Lemons Power, rounds out an all-Belgian row 3. Then you've got Dries van Langendonk in the number 15 and Matej Radenkovic in the number 99 on row 4. Tom van Langendonk and Karel Stout complete the top 10 with Mick van den Berg, Henri Velou, Kaz Tobben in the 21, Jake Menton in the 31, Orion van Wees in the number 2, and Tom Pappenberg in the 48, rounding out the grid for the 16 competitors for this particular race. For those that don't know, you might know that Alexander Wurtz's kids have actually raced in this championship before. I know that they're in other championships now, but they have raced in the BNL karting series. So that's an interesting little bit of trivia for those that haven't heard of the BNL karting series. It is internationally recognised, and when you have someone that has raced in Formula 1 and also the World Endurance Championship bring his children who have gotten bitten by the racing bug just like their father was, that's quite an interesting bit of information. So we're now on the formation lap. 2x2 rolling start formation, as they are now being told to slow down and get into two lanes as the last 5 drivers are straggling, and that is from looks to be Henri Velou to Tom Pappenberg needing to get into formation. Top 10, it's Van der Stroys on pole, Sederski alongside ahead of Fedezano, Schormans, Stuyven, Jonkers, Dries van Langendonk, Radenkovic, Tom van Langendonk, trying to get that one out quickly, Karel Stout rounding out the top 10. Red lights is ignited on the starting gantry for race number 3 today. So they split into the tram lines. 11 minutes on the clock. Will the timer start this time around? The revs rise and we go. Lights out. Great start by Tommy van der Stroys, and behind him is Fedezano. Sederski has been hung a little bit out to dry as it's 3 abreast going through turn 2 for the first time. Sederski has now lost out and has dropped down into 6th position. And I think that maybe the likes of probably Jonkers, I think, has had a great start. Sederski trying to go nearly 3 abreast in turn 6 on the very first time of asking. That's very cheeky from the number 19. So he could get 4th by turn 7. Does he make it? Yes. Nice work, Max Sederski. That's a great recovery from what was a pretty dull start in the fact that he got jumped by everybody to his right-hand side. But meanwhile, at the front of the field, it looks like Tommy van der Stroys is going to be keeping first. Meanwhile, there is someone very hot on the heels, and that is Thomas Stuyven, who's just got past Alan Fedezano heading into turn 10. So Stuyven started a little bit further down the order, around about sort of row number 3, and has got now into 2nd position. But Fedezano does not like that at all and is trying to mount a comeback. A fight back, so to speak, as Sederski now down into 5th position and has got Olivier Jonkers behind him, and in front it's Casper Schormans in the number 40, who was trying to give Tommy van der Stroys a run for his money yesterday, but it was Sederski that was came up trumps in the 2nd race. So Sederski is trying to get back into 4th position as well. Fedezano is trying to get very racy, nearly had Stuyven up the inside of turn number 8. They come through turn 9. Fedezano had to slot back in behind the Stuyven from Belgium as they go through turn 10. 5-cart train behind the top 3, being led by Casper Schormans at the minute. Max Sederski is in front of Olivier Jonkers with Dries van Langendonk and Matej Radenkovic. But van der Stroys has a clear lead now. It was half a second last time. It is now 0.58. So it hasn't really changed, as Sederski has just tried to go past Casper Schormans. Schormans has responded and retaliated in kind going through turn number 2. And it looks like Tom Pappenberg has parked it. No, actually had a bit of, well, I thought he had, but then for a second I thought, well, what's happening here? And does a 20.0, not the best sector out of anybody circulating at the minute, whereas Tommy van der Stoys is still having a bit of the life of Riley, so to speak, at the front. He's clearly ahead of the two battling behind, Tom Strauven and Adam Fedezano. So Fedezano still very much racy as Swiderski loses out to Schurmans and now Olivier Jonkers. So Swiderski now back into 6th. Behind them is Dries van Langdonk. And I thought I had a long surname with Goldschmidt. He's now up into 7th. Radenkovic, Velu and Stout round out the top 10. 7 minutes and 45 on the clock remaining. The battle for 4th position is still very close indeed, as it's putting the, it looks like Jonkers is trying to put the feelers out on Schurmans, while Swiderski's got a ringside seat. In front of them, Fedezano is still keeping in touch with Tom Strauven. The gap for Tommy van der Stoys between him and Strauven hasn't really been extended or closed down over the past few minutes, as Fedezano very close indeed, nearly had a look up the outside of Strauven on turn 8, went through turn 9 in slots behind. Doesn't really need to worry about the 3 battling behind him. He just needs to concentrate on what's going on in front. As Swiderski all clatters into the side of Olivier Jonkers, and on the back of that, Dries van Langendonk now joins this battle for what is effectively 4th position. And Radenkovic is catching. Radenkovic is catching, as Swiderski now up into 5th place. So the slight accrochage, if you will, decided to unsettle Olivier Jonkers and allowed Swiderski to get through. So there was a slight amount of contact. It wasn't, it could have been avoidable, but it wasn't excessive to the point where it punted him off, as Swiderski is running the back bumper of Schurmans. Schurmans has lost out now to Swiderski and Jonkers. Jonkers will have the inside run to turn 7, makes it stick. Dries van Langendonk now has an opportunity to catch some momentum here behind Kasper Schurmans. Radenkovic doesn't need to get involved in this battle yet by my reckoning, but is about 3 or 4 kart lengths behind Dries van Langendonk there. A little bit further behind. Good battle really circulating through Velu, Tom van Langendonk. Orion van Vees now up into 12th, ahead of Kaz Tobben, Mick Vandenberg. Tom Bappenberg is right down at the back end of the order, with Jake Menton a further 3 seconds off the battle between Tom van Langendonk, Van Vees, Tobben, Vandenberg and Menton. As there's a bit more side-by-side action a little bit further down the order. There's 2 overtakes that have just happened as well. Some good, clean racing from our Micromax competitors here. So Schurman's the biggest loser on that last tour. So Swiderski, I think, is now behind Olivier Jonkers now, that he is, and now retakes 4th position back quite cleanly going into turn 7. Great use of this slipstream. Where Jonkers was punching in air in front, and Swiderski went, oh, that means I've got more throttle travel available for me here, and just punched it through, made sure he braked at the right time into the apex, but Jonkers won't have any of this. Schurman still being hustled a bit by Dries van Langendonk in 7th. Radenkovic is still not really a participant in this 4-way battle, as behind that you've got the number 3 of Karel Stout with Tom van Langendonk and Orion van Vees behind. So that's a good little battle for what is 10th position. Tommy van der Stoys now has a gap of 1 second as Swiderski is being pressurized by Kasper Schurmans going through turn 3. And also in front of them they've got Olivier Jonkers. Jonkers still keeping Swiderski at the bay. 4 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock remaining, as Schurmans nearly had a little tap on the right rear of Max Swiderski coming through turn 6, as the positional change again happens at the same point, just a lap or so later, from Max Swiderski over Olivier Jonkers. Nice clean work by the pair. That's some good, clean, hard, firm and fair racing. Meanwhile, the battle for second still is between Thomas Strauven and Aaron Fedezano. No change between the pair yet, but Fedezano's got a good run of momentum coming out of turn number 11. Can't make it stick quite yet. Will now be in the toe of Thomas Strauven coming across the start-finish line, as will Jonkers on Swiderski for 4th. And Swiderski nicely fends off Jonkers, who in turn has to defend against Kasper Schaumanns. This is a great battle for what is for 4th position, as Karel Stout still, now is leading the battle for 9th place, as he's got past Henri Velou. So Velou now drops to 10th ahead of Tom van der Langendonk. So it's all to play for still. Swiderski now still fending off Olivier Jonkers going into turn number 7. Verrazzano still is in that window of opportunity with Thomas Strauven still ahead. But the funny thing is that Swiderski and Jonkers have dropped Kasper Schaumanns quite considerably to the tune of about 6 to 8 kart lengths. So 2 3/4 minutes to go. Verrazzano's gone for it, and he's got it. Nice move up the inside of Thomas Strauven for 2nd position by the number 46 of Aaron Verrazzano, but Strauven already trying to bring back a comeback, so to speak, to regain that place, because no one has really been able to touch Tommy van der Stroys in terms of pure race pace performance, because van der Stroys is doing a 1:06. Verrazzano and Strauven between them were either on a 1:02.8 or a 1:03.0. So whilst they're battling, this is allowing Tommy van der Stroys to be on course for a 3rd successive win this weekend. That's a real good showing from the number 54 from the Netherlands, running on the Paralin chassis. So at the moment, there is still some battles to be waged and wars to be won. And there is a big one coming. Oh, here we go. Olivier Jonkers has just latched on and has dropped Max Swiderski. Swiderski now down in 5th place, as both Strauven and Jonkers are closing on Verrazzano for 2nd. Strauven gives Jonkers an inadvertently or unavoidable tap from behind, because as soon as you close up to someone in the slipstream, you need to be wary of your front bumper, especially if a front fairing compliance regulation is made invalid, so to speak. But van der Stroys now has a gap of over 1.8 seconds. Verrazzano is fending off both Strauven and Jonkers for 2nd position. Swiderski now back on the last slot, or last carriage, if you will, of this train, the Verrazzano train, who is leading it down all the way down to turn 10. Who's going to make that decisive move to decide who's going to be 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th? It's going to be close. It's going to be down to the wire, because when Tommy van der Stroys crosses the line next time around, he'll have about 30 seconds to go. So 31, and he crosses it. Swiderski pulling alongside Jonkers as Strauven slingshots past Verrazzano for 2nd. So the change has now happened to Strauven up to 2nd, dropping Verrazzano to 3rd. Swiderski up to 4th, dropping Jonkers to 5th, with 12 on the clock. And Swiderski, I don't think, is done yet. He has got Verrazzano right in front of him. He's going to get a double toe thanks to Strauven. They go through turn number 7. This is the penultimate lap, as the time is now expired on this race. So van der Stroys just calmly pulling away into the distance as this 4-way shootout for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th still raging on. There's going to be just over 1,400 meters as they come round the final corner. Van der Stroys gets the final lap board shown to him, as Verrazzano could lose out to Jonkers if he's not careful enough. But Verrazzano looks up the inside of Swiderski. No, Jonkers has gone for it. A little slight clash between side pods, but then Verrazzano is actually given the place back there. I could tell by the way that Jonkers just had to lift off and went, I don't really want to get a penalty. And he's trying everything he can to get past Verrazzano. Pulls alongside the 46. Swiderski on the hunt for Strauven on this final lap. They head into turn 7 for the final time. Tommy van der Stroys is just cantering away very calmly. But Swiderski is in the hunt for 2nd. He's got a battle with Thomas Strauven. This could be a drag race to the finish coming out of the exit of turn 12. Swiderski takes a wider line to carry more momentum into turn number 10. The quartet now come through turn number 11 for the final time. Swiderski is going for it. He's pulling up on the inside. Oh, that was very, very close. Strauven blocked it off, and Swiderski had to avoid, but it's going to be Strauven that takes second behind race winner Tommy van der Stroys. Aaron Ferrazano finishes in 4th position, just fractionally ahead of Olivier Jonkers. A great four-way battle there for what eventually was won by Thomas Strauven, taking second from Swiderski, Ferrazano and Jonkers, with Dries van Langendonk winning ahead, winning the battle for 6th ahead of Kasper Schurmans, with Matej Radenkovic, Karel Stout and Henri Velou completing the top 10. So the finishing order was Tommy van der Stroys winning by a very comfortable 2.5 seconds ahead of Thomas Strauven from Belgium. Max Swiderski from the Netherlands finished ahead of Aaron Ferrazano and Olivier Jonkers, who completed the top 5. Dries van Langendonk, Kasper Schurmans, Matej Radenkovic, Karel Stout, Henri Velou complete the top 10 ahead of Tom van Langendonk, Mick Vandenberg, Kaz Tobben, Horion van Wees, Jake Menton and Tom Pappenberg completing the 16-strong grid.